George Kilpatrick, inspiration for the nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Jayson Douglas is the artistic director of the Syracuse City Ballet. Yay! And so I love having conversations about Black folks in spaces that we don't always see them, even though we've been in these spaces for a long, long time. Jayson, welcome to the program. And let's talk about your new role as the artistic director of Syracuse City Ballet. Tell me how we got here.
Thank you for having me. Well, I was dancing professionally for the last 20 plus years throughout the States and a couple jobs internationally in Paris. And most recently, last June, I decided to step down from the stage because, as one starts to get older, we want to preserve our bodies for a little bit longer. And I decided to give back to the youth the knowledge that I have received over the last 30 years in the arts field. So I came to Syracuse in October, well, late September, October of 2023 as the rehearsal director. And after a brief stint as the rehearsal director, I stepped in as the interim artistic director to get the company through Nutcracker and our spring show Emergence. And after that, in May, I was asked to become the full artistic director for Syracuse City Ballet ongoing.
Beautiful. And so you had to rebuild the Syracuse City Ballet. Describe that process.
Yes, we are currently in a rebranding and restructuring of the company. We basically decided to gut it from the bottom and just work our way back up to the top. So I, along with my executive director, Melissa Mejedes, have been working to create a 5-year strategic plan. And we are working with the board on restructuring the board and bringing on more board members that represent the whole Syracuse community and not just one particular community. We are working alongside a lot of the community with CFAC, and I'm talking to Hamilton College, Lemoyne College, the Symphony, and we're basically trying to rebrand the company to bring new works to Syracuse that represent the Syracuse community. So we're going to be stepping away from the traditional classicals like Swan Lake and Sleeping Beauty and creating new works that are listening to our audience and creating works that resemble that. So some of the things we're going to be doing is bringing in more female choreographers, more artists of color to choreograph. We're going to be doing a African denim ballet within the next 2 seasons. We're working to get back into the school systems and give more to the outreach programs and eventually build a performing arts school ourselves to help feed into the company.
This is a great challenge for you. Why did you accept it?
I have a lot of energy and I figured, you know what, I might as well use it for good. And since I've been here, I've been able to become part of the different communities in Syracuse. And I think there's so much to offer those communities, and so many of them aren't getting their voices heard. And I just figured, you know what, I have this platform, why not use it for good and see what we can, take the company to the next level.
So it was quite unexpected for you, right? I mean, you come in as a rehearsal director. Next thing you know, there's nothing to rehearse, right? And so,
yeah.
And so, was it your plan to be in Syracuse, or is all of this part of the "let me just see how the Lord works"?
Basically, let me see how the Lord works, because it was, this all started within 3 weeks of me living here. The change from rehearsal director to artistic director to having to plan a whole spring show on the whim and bring in wonderfully talented dancers and re-choreograph certain parts of Nutcracker. It was a challenge for sure, but I feel like there has to be a reason that I'm here.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we're speaking of the challenge was that you had a crew and they all left or something to that effect, right?
Yes, there was some miscommunication, and some of the artists decided to step away from the company.
Mm-hmm.
And with that left a gap for the professional roles in Nutcracker. So I used my connections and recasted the ballet, and I recast it for the spring show. So we brought in guest dancers for the spring, plus 2 company members that stayed on, and then we brought them in for Nutcracker as well. But we are part of the rebranding is we're bringing in new dancers this season, along with the continuation of the 2 dancers that were here. We just hired 6 new dancers to join the company this year.
That's beautiful. And so, how do you think? I mean, you talked about doing the Dunham Ballet, right? And what that would mean for this community, or to just have that sort of breadth of experience, or I don't want to call it the breadth of experience, but let's talk about who Catherine Dunham is for the one person that doesn't know, and why it's significant to bring a ballet in her name to Syracuse.
She's, I mean, a pioneer for creating different movement that resembled our ancestors, and movement that was not, you weren't just moving your body, but you were also speaking through your body. You were speaking the hardships that our people went through and celebrating the good things that we have in life, which is our voices and our body, and being able to advocate for ourselves through movement and song and dance. And I just think it's such a powerful, like for me, it's one of the reasons I started dancing was watching Catherine Dunham and Alvin Ailey.
Yes.
Those were my inspirations. And what better to bring to the community than something that helped me understand dance more and just leave thinking, it leaves you you leave the theater and you're like thinking like, okay, I need to make some changes in my life. And like it's an eye opener for the audience. I think it's a way for us to start to understand each other in a different way.
Talking with Jayson Douglas, artistic director of Syracuse City Ballet, new artistic director of Syracuse City Ballet. And I think it's exciting to have you here, to have an opportunity to carry forward your vision. So let's talk about you, Jayson, as an individual. Where'd you grow up? And talk about the journey to dance.
I originally grew up in Paterson, New Jersey. And I originally was a musician.
What you
Because
play?
I played percussion. I did that for about 7 years until I got to probably about the age 11. And I was just so hyperactive. And my sister danced, and my mom was a single mom, worked, 3 jobs. So I would go to my sister's dance classes and just sit in the lobby. And I just started mimicking what they were doing in class. And after a while, one of the teachers asked, "Do you want to join?" And that's how my journey started. After my first class, I wound up going from 1 class a week to about 10 classes a week. And I grew up, I went to a performing arts high school called Rosa Parks Arts High School in Paterson, New Jersey. And then after graduating, I went to Point Park University for a bachelor's degree in dance, emphasis in ballet and jazz concert dance.
And who were your role models for ballet? Because again, who were you looking to as a model, or did you not even see others who influenced you?
My influence in ballet was a little later. It wasn't until I would say my junior year of high school when I took a field trip into New York City and saw the Dance Theater of Harlem.
There you go.
And to see dancers that looked like me on stage was not normal. Like, it wasn't a thing. And to see them doing things, especially when I first started in ballet, it was always told to me, "Oh, you should go for modern. Your body's made for modern. Like, you're too athletic looking." They're like, "Oh, this is where you should," ballet wasn't a thing that we were not invited into those rooms. But to go to Dance Theater Harlem and see so many faces that look exactly like mine, I was like, wait, I think we are invited to these rooms. We just have to create our own spaces.
And when you say field trip to New York City, you're talking about 30 minutes away, right? You're not really,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not really that far away, but
No.
but think about it, right? A world away, but we're only talking about a bridge in a couple of minutes, right? A world
Exactly.
away from your community where you didn't see that, but to be able to go into the city to see the Dance State of Harlem celebrate in celebration of our bodies and our movements and all of that. Uh, that impacted you in such a way. I'm sure.
It still impacts me. Every time I go to New York, I still go see Dance Theater Harlem. Some of my mentors right now are ex-dancers from Dance Theater Harlem. They're the ones that are guiding me with this new position so that I can give back to the younger generation something that's going to take them and soar with their career.
Um, how do you get more boys to consider ballet, or boys and girls of color in particular, to consider ballet? I'm thinking of the sister whose name I see her face, Mindy Copeland. Thank you. And what impact do you think she's had on young boys and young girls?
Misty
Misty
Copeland's
Copeland. I
had,
said
yeah,
Mindy. Misty. Yes.
yeah, Misty Copeland's had a huge, not just on the young boys and girls, but even on us older dancers, because she's bold and she's making room for us at every sector of dance. And I think one of the biggest things she's been able to do is start scholarship funds for younger dancers that might not be able to afford, because that's one of the things too, as the years go by, another way that they've been able to keep us out of the room is the cost of training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of our bigger ballet schools cost more than a 1 year degree at a college.
Mm.
That's just for training. And I think with Misty, so many kids look up to her, and she has a beautiful way of speaking that makes them feel comfortable in themselves and feel comfortable being in a ballet studio. And a lot of it too is by starting them with creative movement. You start them with creative movement, you get them moving a little bit to music that they like, and then you slowly start to add in the technique part. And then once you get them hooked on the technique, then you have them in the room.
What's your, and then you get them in the room. So how do you get more boys in particular to think about ballet without the label that they might associate with that? And yeah, that's the question. Period.
Explaining to them and showing, like, one of the things I've done when I teach at summer intensives is I explain to the young men and I bring like a little PowerPoint showing them different athletes, and then I ask them what do all these athletes have in common? And they're always kids. They're like, what? And I'm like, they all do ballet, because ballet helps you. For football, it gets them quick on their feet. They move, quicker. Um, Baseball, you're more limber. So ballet feeds into sports. And one of the other things is by having male teachers teach them.
Mm.
Having a male in the front of the room is much more welcoming to getting the young boys into the studio, because they see themselves in the person in the front of the room.
Who was it? Was it Lynn Swan that was famously one of the first football players to actually
I
uh,
believe that's correct.
to do ballet and show, be on the bar and doing all that
Mhm.
and catch all the? I believe it was Lynn Swan back in the day, which was for football fans many years ago. But I think I just remember that when you say football and other athletes, he's probably in your PowerPoint. You don't realize it, or you may realize it.
Yeah, we probably. Yeah.
But well, Jayson, exciting that. So, what do we have to look forward to coming up in this season, and what would you like audiences to do, and what's happening this summer? Like, how do people take advantage of this new artistic vision for Syracuse City Ballet?
Well, first, I would say to follow our Instagram, which
Mm-hmm.
will be launching. Like, we have our Instagram up, but we're going to be updating it, and it's going to be a beautiful, like, with just videos and pictures, letting everyone know about the shows that we're going to be performing, the events that we're going to be at. Um, we will be performing at the State Fair, which is going to give the community a snippet of what they are in store for this season. This season, we're going to tackle a lot of issues that relate to so many of us. Like, our first program is it. There's a beautiful piece that's about mental health.
Mm.
And then the stages that we go through with depression and anxiety. So that's going to be a beautiful piece. And I'm trying to work out a collaboration with some of the local clinics and just make it an event about awareness. Go ahead.
No. This is great. My mind is racing because one of the things that occurs to me is I'm assuming that people are good. They know what ballet is, and I mean I know people know what ballet is, but how do you make ballet accessible for those who may not be familiar or understand, or what are the things that you could say to folk to say, you know what, this I don't get it, so I'm not necessarily going to come to a show. You would say what to that person?
I would say to bring them into the show is I want you to come in with an open mind, ready to experience something that's going to challenge your brain to think in a different way, and a way to let your brain process things without voice, but
Mm-hmm.
by seeing it through movement. And
Mm-hmm.
how can you relate that to something that you're thinking, or how can you relate that to things in the outside world?
Yeah, I love it, it reminds me of the first opera that I went to, and I had no idea what it was going to be like. I mean, I've seen, but like to be sitting there, and I remember I went with my daughter, and we were both. It was our first time experience, and it was amazing, right? It was I believe it was an Italian opera. Actually, I think it was Il Libretto. I believe is that right? I don't know. No, that's not it. But whatever it was, it was something that was very popular, and everybody knew it was a popular ballet in
Hmm.
Italian, with the subtitles up above. I relate that to this in the sense that, come with, like you said, come with an open mind, and you never know how you might be able to think differently after that experience. And of course, Dance State of Harlem is amazing.
And they're just amazing. And they're my inspiration for the season planning. The way the company is moving forward is to start to mix the culture of classical music with new age music.
Mm.
So some of our works in the spring, people are going to be like, "Oh, I know this song. This is like a Motown. Like this is okay. There's a beat to
Hmm.
this." And then you think about while you're watching the ballet, you're already thinking about something else. Like your brain is like, "Oh, this reminds me of this great time I had with my grandmother." So like,
Mm.
it gives you something uplifting, which I think that's the biggest thing for me. What dance helps me just feel free
Hmm.
from all troubles in the world. Like I get to just let go and enjoy something.
Mm. And you talked about getting your degree in from what's the university again?
Point Park University.
Point Park University. Did you go for further training after that?
Yes, I did Point Park, and then during the pandemic, I needed something to focus on, like most of us. So I went to the community college and did a arts administration and social psychology degree.
Awesome.
And after that, I did trainee programs in dance well, after college originally. I did trainee programs at North Carolina Dance Theater, which is now called Charlotte Ballet,
Hmm.
and Ballet Memphis to further my training before taking my first paid job at the age of 20.
Awesome. Well, Jayson, welcome to the community. Right? I mean, you're here now,
I'm here. I
and of
hope everyone's
course,
ready for me.
well, let's get ready for you, brother, because we're
Yes.
excited for you. The Syracuse City Ballet's new artistic director. What do you need from the community?
To just come in, like I said before, with an open mind, ready to support an organization that's trying to make a change for the better for the community. And I want to give something to the community that represents them. So the more they could come out and support us in our shows, our events, our fundraisers, they can send us emails about things, ideas that they might have, or what they want to see, because I love getting feedback so that I'm giving them what they want to the community.
And you did mention that the Syracuse City Ballet website is being redesigned. So how do people find you right now?
On my Instagram at Douglas.Jayson, Jayson. You can find me on Instagram. You can also find us on Syracuse City Ballet Instagram and our SyracuseCityBallet.com website, which are all up and running. And within the next week, you'll start seeing amazing posts of the upcoming performances. We will be making the dancer announcements of the new dancers coming. And we will also be announcing the full season, which is going to be an exciting, jam-packed season with lots of collaborations with local dance studios in Syracuse. We're going to be collaborating with dance schools in Ithaca, Albany, and Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Awesome. And is there something coming up in the next few weeks that you want to promote?
In the next few weeks, I would say, please look at our Instagram so you can see the announcement. That's the big thing that we're working on now, is just getting that big announcement out and opening ticket sales.
There you go. All right. Jayson Douglas, Syracuse City Ballet. Find them on Instagram and SyracuseCityBallet.com. Jayson, such a pleasure to meet you, learn about you, and we look forward to a fantastic season.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation.